You are now tuned into the sounds of Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell, the Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast, episode 481 of the podcast. Before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. First and foremost, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all staying safe. I'm glad that the snow is officially melting. That was an interesting snowstorm we had about a couple weeks ago. And a lot has happened in that time with terms of what's happening with the podcast. First and foremost, I would like to thank Mira McLean from the University of Maryland women's basketball team. Took some time out of her schedule, come on the podcast. We chopped off for a little bit. Shout out to Rose DePaula for setting up the interview as well. I appreciate the support that I'm getting on the YouTube channel. I apologize if you have not seen consistent content from me. I want to take accountability in that. Just life outside of YouTube. Big things have happened for me. You're still going to see stuff for Team MBS Media. This weekend, Maryland women's basketball team has their senior day against the University of Purdue as they're on a 4-game win streak. We've got to get on the ball with the WNBA mock draft. NFL mock draft, now that the NFL season is officially over, we've got to talk about get the ball rolling with that. MLB spring training, especially for the Orioles and the Nationals. I'm going to get the ball rolling with that soon, so stay tuned in for that. And then also, lastly, with also NC March Madness. That's almost around the corner, and it's also the conference tournament. So we're going to get caught up in a lot of content. I'm going to do my best to stay consistent these next couple months for the podcast and for this YouTube channel. But I appreciate the support you're giving me. Please consider hitting that subscribe button. The goal to 1,000 subscribers is the goal. But I appreciate the support. And in this episode, you see the title. This one was kind of out the blue. Honestly and truthfully, I actually had a phone conversation today as I'm recording this video with a good buddy of mine who I will bring on in just a second. And would you take some time and hop on? Let's have a conversation, because I think this situation, I think it's been interesting to hear different perspectives. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on the whole situation. But before we do that, I got to bring on the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Herndon's finest, Mr. Sean Spencer.
Woo!
Sean Spencer, how you doing, buddy?
Herndon's finest back in the building. My man Nate Snell, what's going on, buddy?
Not much. Good to have you. Thank you for joining me, man.
Absolutely, man.
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already known, unless you've been hiding under a rock, really hasn't hit the like mainstream news. But Jerome Tang, now former head coach for the KState Wildcats, was fired on Sunday after some comments that honestly, truthfully, has gotten some people in polar opposite directions. And actually, in the title, I'm going to play the video for those, and then I'm going to give my thoughts, and I'm going to let Sean share his thoughts. But we're going to go ahead and play the clip. Oh, wrong button. Sean, can you see this?
Yep.
All right.
Hey, I'm gonna honor Christ like I always do. Blessed to do this, but this was embarrassing. These dudes do not deserve to wear this uniform. There will be very few of them in it next year. I'm embarrassed for the university. I'm embarrassed for our fans, our student section. You know, it is just ridiculous. We got practice at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we will get this thing right. I have no answer and no words. So y'all got two questions. So whoever want to ask two questions, I'll answer them to the best of my ability right now. But right now, like I'm like pissed, and this is all right. Questions.
I guess it just kind of cuts it to puzzle. If you look at your road and home splits, basketball road games have been down the wire, run off the court. Explain that.
Yeah, I don't know. I asked the staff this week that same question, and they said that more the opponents. You play. I don't know, like because I followed Minnesota last year closely, and they played great on the road and struggled at home. So then they started staying in hotels at home, like treating it like a road game. And so I even talked about, hey, do we need to change that change? But like, no, none of that crap, man. These dudes got to have some. They got some pride, man. They got some pride. It means something to wear a K-State uniform. It means something to put on this purple, man. Our like everything this university is about and all that it's been about. Why I love this place, man. Like they don't love this place, so they don't deserve to be here.
Just what did you make of the student section with paper bags on their heads?
Yeah, I'd wear a paper bag too if I was them. Thanks a lot, fellas. God bless.
Wow. So, Sean, I'm going to actually give you the floor first, because I that last bit right there. Yeah, I'll let you go first.
Listen, I'm all about, old school coaching. I'm all about, holding people accountable and, letting people know, hey, look, doing whatever you can to light a fire under your team and things of that nature. But I think this is one of the things that you and I talked about. I think he said the quiet part out loud. You still have to have some semblance of decorum. You still have to be able to I get you're upset, I get you're frustrated and everything, but when you come out and say just all of that in that way, like out there, and your whole demeanor was just off, the vibe was just off, I get it. I mean, you got whooped. I mean, you're a proud coach. You don't want to be embarrassed like that, and when that happens, it's easy to go at the players. But I think that one thing you have to also do is let's go at what did you do? What did the coaching staff do? This is not the first time you're seeing this. You know what I mean? Like, so it makes you wonder, okay, well, what's the whole big picture? You know what I mean? And look, maybe obviously he got fired, so this didn't light a fire under them. But to say, oh, we got practice at 6 a.m. after hearing that, well,
and
I
to
don't
add
show
some
the practice,
context to
don't
that, they played the University of Cincinnati and they lost 91-62
Mm-hmm.
at home.
Mm-hmm.
Then they lost to number 3 Houston on Valentine's Day, 78-64.
Mm-hmm.
So just to give a little context to these post presser comments, I just wanted to add that, Sean. I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, and that's the thing, and it's funny because you look at the Valentine's Day against that next team, it's like, okay, well they played a little better, I mean, teams get blown out like this. UNC, after Caleb Wilson got hurt, got killed by NC State the other night. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes you have those days. Sometimes you have those games. And again, I get the frustration. I'm somebody that I've coached, for years, and there's some times where you really got to say some things to your players. But when I'm in the media and when I'm going and I'm front and answering questions from reporters, yeah, there's a time and a place, and it did not look good. And you saw what the AD and what the university said. They let him go, and that's that's where we're at. But to me, it definitely rubbed me the wrong way. It gave me a weird feeling to sit here, and I haven't followed KState through this year, so hearing that, and it just, yeah, it didn't feel right.
I agree. I'm 80-20. I the 20% comes from I understand why he was fired.
Mm-hmm.
The 80%, I don't agree with it.
Right.
The 20% of me is, since you took over the team in 2022, you took over for Bruce Weber, who stepped down. Ever since that run to the Elite Eight, you haven't done much after that. You've won your next year, I believe it was 19 games. Then you won 16 games, if I remember correctly, last year, 2024, 2025. And now you haven't only won 2 conference games. You've won 11 games before you were fired.
Right.
Like, results do matter. Now, when you effort, you can't teach effort.
Right.
That's a 100,000% thing we can agree on.
Mm.
But I think it's funny. I think it was after one of these games. I can't remember what it was. I think it may have been after they played. I think it may have been Arizona State or something like that, or TCU, where he talked about how he loved the guys, he loved the players. So it's kind of funny. I'm gonna find that. I wish I'd have found that before we started. How he loved the guys. Now all of a sudden, you get blown out, and now your attitude switches up. Now, listen, and if people know anything about the Big 12, it is a tough conference. Like the same thing with the Big 10. Like, no one's going to feel sorry for you. And let's keep it real. Since he's taken over, that he's built. This is the team that he's built through recruits, through the transfer portal, all of that. This is his pieces. This is his coaching staff. See, sometimes I think like it's so quick to listen to the Stephen A. Smiths or others and go with the national narrative. Okay, example, Rick Portino. Okay, they did something similar, but see, the messenger is different. He has the cachet to say those kind of things.
Right.
I know people are going to say, well, what about Deion Sanders? Well, Deion Sanders is arguably one of the greatest football players. And while I don't agree, he's taken over a team, if I remember correctly, that they didn't win a game that season.
Right.
So he basically is a new coach coming in with new players.
Right.
So I think we got to be careful when we're comparing situations, because some situations are apples and oranges. Like you and I agree. You brought up the point of bringing stuff to the media. I would never start off my statement going, I'm embarrassed for the school. I'm embarrassed for these. You won't see some of these guys in uniform, because when you say things like that, guys are going to look at each other. Well, who is he referring to?
Exactly.
Because I think and this rings true in the NFL, NBA, MLB. It doesn't matter when coaches make those type of statements. You're putting every player in that locker room in a box,
Yep.
and you can't assume every dude in that locker room ain't got effort. That's disingenuous of you as a coach.
Right.
And again, I'm gonna use as some I cover the Maryland women's basketball team. They lost 4 straight games in a row, and some of the and we can make an argument that there were some games that they should have won, but I could not imagine Brenda Freeze, hell, even Buzz Williams for the men on the men's side, making comments like that because they're going to go. We're going to figure this out. Nobody's going to feel sorry for us. Now, if I was Jerome, because words have power.
Yeah.
You know, this was a tough loss. This was a loss where myself as a coach, I have to take accountability. My coaching staff, us as a team, we all have to do some serious soul searching.
Right.
We have to figure this out. What do we want to be as far as Wildcat? What do we want Wildcat basketball to be?
Right.
We've had some tough losses this year, but this was not Wildcat basketball.
Right.
Like, I know what this team is capable of showing night in and night out. Yes, we're not going to win every game. Yes, these guys they work their butts off in practice.
Right.
But maybe it was just one of those nights. I don't know. But I promise you, we're going to figure this out. And we have a couple weeks left, and we're going to figure this out. And we're going to make sure that we put Kansas State Wildcat basketball on display for the fans. Do you see how I said that? Instead of going, I'm embarrassed for the student section. I'm embarrassed for the university. Stop.
Yeah. Right.
So, that just was not a good look at all. That's where the 20% of me is. I understand. I really want to say 70-30. The 80% of me goes, well, okay, well, I don't agree with you being fired. I would have let me see what you look like. Okay, you're using those if that's your way to motivate the guys. Okay, that's fine. Like you said, they did play better because they played. Let me see. I'm looking at the schedule right now. They played Houston, number 3 Houston, and they beat Baylor yesterday, 90-74. So, and they have 5 more games. They have number 13 Texas Tech, Colorado, TCU, West Virginia, and then after that's the Big 12 tournament. So, and I don't know. I just think people are saying, it just, you can't. I can't justify the firing other than you can't make those comments publicly.
Right.
Like,
right.
In the same thing, there's an unwritten rule, especially when we have a players only meeting. That's in the locker room. Same thing with the coaches. Well, I'm not going. Coaches can hold their players accountable,
right?
1,000%, and that it transitions me into my next point. Is NIL the true root of the issue in college sports? I'm seeing a lot of people, doesn't matter the platform, kind of going to the point of, this society is soft and these guys are soft and NIL is not preparing. Like I forget whose podcast it was. I think it was Shaq's podcast. He had the great Bo Jackson on there. And he talked about how he's comparing it of the horses out the gate. And I'm like, time out. Let's not sit here and act like guys weren't paid under the table.
Right.
And every athlete is not paid the same amount of NIL money. And I think the issue is it's a Pandora's box. For years, and I'm coming like and I'm let you have the floor on this. For years, they've advocated, well, college athletes deserve to get paid.
Right.
Now they've gotten their money. Now they're getting paid. What's the problem?
Right.
So, what do you think? Do you think it's a true root of issue? Do you think it's a true root of the issue?
So I agree with you that this has been going on for forever. But I do also kind of look at it, and just you and I talked about this offline, is that this is kind of the sign of the times, as in not even just with NIL, but just how people speak and how they're open. Just like back in the day when things were under the table, coaches also came. You rarely saw a Denny Green, they are who we thought they were moment, or a who's the coach? Was it Mississippi State that was ranting and raving, coming after other coaches and all that? You rarely saw those things. That's why those moments were so big. But now, and I kind of agree with Bo where he's saying, kind of like the cat's out of the bag. Yeah, we are seeing people with Maseratis and Bugattis and all these different cars and all these different things and flaunting this money and everything. Now, while it's always been there, now they can be out here and flashing it and everything. So a lot of times, some of these coaches now they feel like, well, shoot, I can say what I need to say. I can come out here and say this and say that. So to say the NIL is the root of the issue, I don't agree, because the only thing that's different, and maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only thing that's different is now there's a light on it. Now we all see what's going on.
Exactly.
Beforehand it was the little secret. It was the thing that, everybody essentially knew about, nobody talked about. Now, exactly. We all see it. We all know about it. People are getting money. That's what it is. But I think you made a great point. Players, not all players are getting the same amount of money. Not all coaches are getting the same amount of money. Not all universities are being able to supply those players, athletes, exactly. X, Y, and Z. So you're going to have some players that are going to maybe say, I don't want to be here. I can go elsewhere at X, Y, and Z. But I think the big issue that really kind of hurts his point is what you said before, is that he, kind of praised those guys not more than a week or so before. Yeah. Right. And then on top of that, you see them playing Houston and playing well against Houston. You see them winning the game after he left. So the question really does come back to who is really the root of this? You know what I mean? We know he had success, and then he came over here and he's had success, and apparently you loved your players, but now all of a sudden, they don't even deserve to wear the jersey. And now, the fans putting the paper bags on. That's crazy. I mean, I understand it, but for them to get to that point, what's going on in house?
You're going to have fans like that anywhere.
Right.
I mean, like at College Park, like even it doesn't matter if it's a conference game. Like you can't really get the student section filled, honestly. So I mean, like we look at the schedule. Like okay, they start off their conference schedule. They lost 5 straight. Like the closest competitive game that they had within the first 3 games of the conference schedule, their conference schedule, they lost by 3 to Arizona State. They lost by 82-73 UCF, lost by 1 to Oklahoma State. They beat Utah, lost by 5 to West Virginia, lost by 2 to TCU. Okay. And then the Houston game. So, I mean, there's some losses. And then there's some non-conference games they lost. They lost to 25 Indiana, Nebraska, Bowling Green, Seton Hall. But again, I think the true issue, in my opinion, is the recruiting and the transfer portal. Because this is, again, as I said earlier, this is his roster. Right. He went out and got guys out the portal. Like he's got 2 guys one guy from Serbia. I think he had another guy from Germany. And then he had a point guard from Missouri. And he's a 3-star.
Okay.
And he lost, I want to say it was about 10 players, 9 players to the portal from last year. Because 3 graduated. and the rest either transferred. And they were all. I know one transferred to Virginia. The others I know stayed either in the Big 12 or the SEC.
Okay.
I think one did go to Iowa. Two actually went to the Iowa, and one went to Rutgers, I want to say. But he did lose some players. But my point is that, you've had, like, if you can't figure out how to also navigate the portal and how to build a roster, these are the results you're going to get. So, and the same rings true. You talked about it on, on your show with Alex Loosemore. Shout out to Alex Loosemore with Lane Kiffin. He left during the season, and they were winning. And again, like some schools like Ole Miss, doesn't they don't have the funding that a Texas or Alabama or Oklahoma has. And also too, like, you also understand who's in the Big 12. As I said already, Kansas, Houston, Arizona, Iowa State, Texas Tech, BYU. Like, the Big 12 ain't no joke.
Right.
So, yeah. The next question that this you asked us, when this is fair, do you think there's a double standard to what he said? And then also, too, do you see that even in sports still today?
Yeah, I do think it. Now, in this situation, he was fired, so it doesn't play a major as big a role to that point. But we see coaches. You made that point about Lane Kiffin. We see coaches that are jumping ship before the season's even over. The team was in the playoff. You're actually battling for something. And this is kind of where I don't like that they fired him, because it's like, all right, I get you're making a point, you're making a statement, but conference tournaments a couple weeks away. March Madness is less than a month away. So, let them finish out the season at least. I mean, I think a lot of times when you have these coaches that kind of have these other opportunities, every coach is kind of going for that next job. We know he came from Baylor, had success, so then came over to get this job. You know what I mean? So now you expect, he's going to do this. He's going to have success elsewhere. Matt Rule, same thing. Went, Temple to, I don't know, was it Baylor or something like that, and then ended up going to Nebraska. It didn't work in Nebraska. So, we see what happens. So I think that it's interesting because these coaches do only enough to get to that next level, and then nobody really gets on them about it. But if the player does the same thing, who's looking out for their future, trying to get eyes on them, then everybody criticizes them, ridicules them, and X, Y, and Z. So, look, I do think it's a double standard from coaches as opposed to players. But unfortunately, I don't know that it's going to change, because there's still a very big part of the a population that looks at players as you're there, you're lucky to be there, and you're going to get your education, and you're doing this. Never mind the fact that all the ticket sales and all the jerseys that get sold, and how many, how much money these players bring to these universities, but they're supposed to just essentially stay at one place or not take any other opportunities, but yet the coaches do, and we give them a pass. You know what I mean? Coaches get these large buyouts and then go elsewhere, and we're like, oh, okay, well, good for him. But the player can't do that. Something's wrong there. So I do think there's a double standard.
And to add on to that too, especially with the transfer portal, I am someone who believes that the transfer portal does need reforming. I understand that some players will use it for school purposes. For example, Maryland had a player that transferred strictly because of academics. They were in their last year, and they just wanted this whatever what was offered at Maryland didn't have it, so they decided to transfer. Maryland had another player that felt like they weren't challenged. I'm using Maryland as an example. I've seen players that have transferred because they wanted to be closer to their family because they had a loved one that wasn't doing medically well. But I've seen the transfer portal being completely misused from the standpoint of either not getting playing time, maybe this wasn't the school for me. And sometimes coaches will say, I don't think this is the team for you. Like when I had Mira McLean on here, like she was told, like, basically her coach that was at UVA was basically telling her, there's a greater good for you somewhere else. Not in a not in a mean way,
Right.
but in a way
But
where
looking out for it.
exactly, because she saw the potential of what she could be somewhere else. And then like on top of that too, like I think there's a bigger thing to in terms of the NIL and transfer portal. The biggest thing, I think, the biggest elephant in the room, if we're going to talk about entitlement and spoiled, a lot of it also too. I hate to do this, but a lot of it starts with parents. I know that's one of I know some that might get uncomfortable for some people, but that's like let's not sit here and act like the strings are not for some aren't being pulled. So I did want to play they're PJ Hagley and Nate Johnson. They're both players for K-State. This was kind of their thoughts after their win over Baylor. They were asked about Coach Tang getting fired. I wanted to play that real quick for the audience. You can see this, Sean?
Yep.
I asked both you guys, how much different was the vibe with Coach Driscoll today, leading the team on the sideline?
I mean, it was different, like a lot different, but he tried to make it like as normal as possible for us, like as if Coach Tang was still there. So,
how about you, PJ? Was there anything you liked about what Coach Driscoll brought to the sideline today?
Like Nate said, it was a little different. At the end of the day, we all just trying to come together as a team and just try to keep winning.
PJ, just how hard have the last couple of days been, and just what was the motivation behind the performance you guys had tonight?
It's been some very difficult days. I mean, at the day we all love Coach Tang, as a coach, as a person. I mean, he just want us to be better men rather than basketball players too. But at the end of the day, we just gonna keep playing and honor him.
Nate, nobody knew what to expect coming into this game. Just the way you guys stuck together and had this performance, just what it say about you guys and not letting that happen.
It says how like strong this group is mentally. I mean, a lot of teams could let like what happened the past couple of days just tear them down. And I mean, started all last Thursday. I mean, Coach Tang told us to we gathered together. We became more together as a team, just bonded over that period of time, and it still showed today. Like his message still showed today what we are still together and just keep getting better every day.
Nate, what would you say your reaction was when Coach Tang came in on Sunday and told you that he wasn't going to be the coach anymore?
It was emotional, honestly. I mean, we all kind of found out before we had our meeting, but it was still just seeing him and then seeing him have to not be there again. It was just we all just was the room just felt quiet. We didn't know what was going on.
PJ, what do you think Nate did best today?
Nate? Yeah. How many threes he hit today? Yeah, boy, Nate was shooting like Steph Curry out there, you feel me? He got hot early. He just does it all. Rebounds, passes, scores. Did everything to me.
I like that. Shout out to PJ Haggerty and Nate Johnson. But yeah, I wanted to show that part, especially where they were asked about the reactions. And even looking at some of the stats too. And you can also find their games depending on some of the platforms. Certainly, also too how you use your rotations matter too. So, but again, I think that there's character and belief, but again, I don't see, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, brother, but do you see dudes that don't care?
Honestly, me looking at that, what all that leads me to believe is that this is the problem with the media. When the media gets involved and the media spins their narratives and they create all these issues, and all of a sudden now, leads the AD and the university to make certain moves. Now, should Coach Tang have maybe said some of the things he said? Maybe not. because that team looked like a team that actually respected and admired Coach Tang, and they didn't want him to go. You know what I mean? So maybe they picked up on what he was putting down. But once you get a whole bunch of talking heads involved, and you mentioned it, like, then all of a sudden now it's like the university feels like it needs to make a move. And that's where I agree with your 80-20. Like, did he have a point? Maybe he did. According to the players, I mean, even now, even in their win, they gave him credit, and they're saying, we're playing ball, and for the things that he taught us, and he was trying to get us to be more like men. So, I look, I get it. I get, how sometimes words and things get said, and it gets said in interviews and things, and all of a sudden, you kind of forces their hand to act in X, Y, and Z. But from what I saw right there with the players, I mean, they're almost, it was almost like dedicating their play to Coach. And it just really makes you wonder what was going on behind the scenes with, the front office, like the AD and the university, as opposed to, with the coach. Maybe they weren't happy with him overall because, like you said, he wasn't having the most success. So maybe they were looking for a reason to get him out of here. But those players, like you said, when I look at that, and then you told me like all the scores before and after that one game, it just looked like it was a one game that they just had a really bad game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe, and again, you sent me this stuff, and you brought this stuff up to me early on today. I haven't been, paying attention since my boy Caleb Wilson from North Carolina, broke his hand. Now, our season is almost over. I'm saying we got crushed by NC State, but even still, we got beat really bad by NC State.
Yeah.
And you don't see Coach Hubert Davis getting fired. Now he didn't say that. He didn't say all that stuff in the press conference, but still, I just think from what I saw there and kind of just the other context you added, it might have been they might have moved a little too hastily.
I agree. And also too, I know you talked about your Tar Heels. I mean, look, the Maryland men's basketball team, Buzz Williams. I mean, this is a whole new team. I mean, like Diggy Colt is like basically our MVP, honestly. And I mean, this team's being held together with tape, glue, pretzel sticks, all of that because of injuries and lack of depth. And I mean, you've had people calling for the man's job already,
right?
And not understanding, like, well, okay, do you not remember the soap opera we had last year that kind of overtook our Magic run in the NCAA tournament? But but even with this, like Jerome was a part of that Baylor, national championship team, and I just think they were looking for some of that magic. And again, when you go from that 3 or that 2 to that 1 spot, totally different. I wish Jerome all the best. I think he'll get another opportunity somewhere. But I again, I'm 80-20. I think that that I just when you say things like that, even on the roster, even in practice, the attitudes are going to be different because that's how guys check out. And you don't. And the thing is, the season's not over. I think that's what's more frustrating, if anything. So,
I wonder how much the fans played a part into it because one thing that has come from the NIL and transfer portal and all this stuff, if you're not winning or if you have an egregious loss like that, fans will start calling for people, fans, boosters, all that type of stuff. Exactly. So I wonder how much backlash he got, not only from his comments, but from that loss. And then, anytime you see fans wearing paper bags, a lot of Detroit Lions and all the things they went through, a lot of times they'll call for your head real quick. And sometimes, in order for maybe the AD to keep his job, I need to make a drastic move. And they end up doing that. So, yeah. I think there's a lot of other factors at play. But I think I'm with you where I'm just kind of like, things should not have been said. Maybe that's somewhere where you have a PR guy that says, listen, I understand you're upset. Maybe, here, say these things and get up and go. Because
Exactly.
he's already said, I'm only answering 2 questions. So you could have easily held that stuff in and not said that. So
he was already coming in. He was already coming into the media room hot. So,
right.
And the thing is, we don't even know what was said in the locker room.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
and that makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
I just think again, you had 2 coaches, I think, making over $1 million, and these are the results you get. So, but again, I wish them all the best. And unfortunately, this is what it is. But but the last point I want to move on to, and then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to get to one final thought. Again, we have to stop clumping every collegiate athlete into this box of spoiled and entitled, because there are athletes who work out the mud to get to where they're at now.
Exactly. Right.
And yes, some NIL is a difference maker for some of the situations that they come from. But I think, like, we've seen all this. You can make a case for each decade and each generation of sports, from boomers, X, millennials, alphas. I think there's entitlement in each generation of
everywhere,
sports.
right?
So, I just want to get it off my chest, because there are some hardworking collegiate athletes out here that are doing smart things with their money. Especially like understanding what NIL is, and again, each program is different.
Right.
So, we're gonna take a quick break because we have one final thought. I have one, and Sean has one. So we'll be right back.
Thoughts are running through my mind, so I took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
Okay, Sean Spencer, I'm gonna give you the one final thought, sir.
I'm gonna be honest. I appreciate everything you do. You and I have been doing shows and going back and forth for going on 6 years now.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, I'm gonna take this time to. I've talked to you about this today, but I'm gonna let your listening audience know from this day forward. Let's Talk Football is no more. There's 2 more remaining shows: the Ladies Show and the Roundtable. They are both with Anthony Handy, the guy that's who introduced you, and he's he's got Zagnif Productions, so you can catch those over there. A lot of other shows, I think Mile High Minute, that's with Tina, and a couple other things. But Washington Football Weekly, Let's Talk Football, NFC South Takeover, Let's Talk College Football Update, etc. That is no more. That is no more. So it was a great run, 8 years. The YouTube channel will still remain. So if anybody has nostalgia, definitely go back and watch those shows and get what you can. It was a great run. I absolutely enjoyed it. Um, I'm not gonna be like the head coach and, and talk about these guys are entitled. This guy, no, I not gonna say anything. I think every single member, every contributor, such as yourself, um, and just looking forward to kind of what God has for me in the future. And it is definitely bittersweet, but God, I gotta believe there's something greater out there. So, I'm just receptive to whatever he has for me. So LTF has had a great 8-year run. But for the most part, it is no more. So that's my one final thought for you guys. Thank you, Nate, for giving me the opportunity to make that known.
For sure. First and foremost, I would like to thank you for, I think, you, Cameron Crump. I would give a shout out to Reba and Aaron on Twitter, especially. I think for where this channel has been and meeting you 6 years ago, you've played a fundamental role in not only with this channel, but I think helping me get into many doors. So I want you to know that you're very important into that. I really hope that at some point, LTF, maybe down the road, something will happen. Just so you know, I will be blowing your phone up, have you come on, do mock drafts, and
free.
I would like us to do something about the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Heck, we might have you on there with Brendan Potts. We might do some WNBA stuff. So, hey, but no, hey, I get it. Things happen for a reason. And right now, and everything happens in seasons.
Yes.
Sometimes you just got to just figure out, take some time for yourself and figure out all the right things, and and in due time, the answers and will all fall into place, and you just got to trust in God. So,
absolutely,
I totally understand. My one final thought is, I know I'm late to the party on this, but a few weeks ago, after the Buffalo Bills lost, Sean McDermott was fired. He got scapegoated. I didn't think he would be fired, but ownership and Billy Beane essentially threw the coaching staff under the bus, saying they didn't want Keon Coleman there. Even though there's a video of him especially saying, "I hope he's there and we take him." I think that's disgusting. That a GM, and here's the thing: when the owner is speaking for you. Like that, the way he did at the end of the season presser, that lets me know a lot of things. So
right.
I believe that there was a conversation between Pagula and Brandon after a conversation was between the three with Terry, Brandon, and Sean.
Yeah.
And my thing is, listen, they traded back into the second round to Kansas City because Kansas City ended up getting who, ladies and gentlemen? Xavier Worthy. Now, if I remember correctly, the reason they traded back was because they didn't have the salary cap. So they wanted to save a few dollars. They picked Keon Coleman. I think Keon Coleman, at best, is a slot wide receiver. Put him in the you and I talked about this, Sean. Put him in the slot. I think he's comfortable. I think they have struggled to look for their Stephon Diggs since he's departed.
Right.
That's just my opinion. But also, too, I'm not gonna lie. Even though number 8, though Mr. Josh Allen made some mistakes, his number one playmaker, he at times when he needed him, he did fold as well. But if I'm Keon, I would leave Buffalo. Because again, you're saying the quiet stuff out loud.
Right.
Right. And especially I want to say this also too, to Keon. I want you to take names and keep receipts, because one thing I don't like is when because sometimes maybe a change of scenery, coaching matters, because there's coaches that can be mature and growth. There's coaches that can help you just be better. I don't know what's going to happen to him next year. For all I know is he could have 15 touchdowns and 900 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to become where, damn, Keon Coleman, boy, I told you he was going to do. No. It ain't what you said last year. We were making fun of him, of his introductory rookie press conference and him dancing. I mean, okay. But also, too, it's clearly, it also shows me there weren't locker room leaders in that locker room. That's just my opinion. So I really want him to take names and just make sure and make sure people stand on business. If that's how you feel about me, the same goes for Xavier Legette. So, listen, I mean, we can criticize, we can critique players 1,000% in between those lines. But when we bring up other stuff that has nothing to do with the game, you lose me on that. Okay, yeah, he wore a jacket from Macy's that has nothing to do with football.
Right.
He loves chocolate chip cookies. Okay.
Right.
So, but I mean, I say all that to say, you know, I really give you a lot of respect on this. Not take everything. Doesn't matter the platform, podcasts, especially these mainstream podcasts, mainstream media. Don't take everything so seriously what they say, because you know they are controlling and spinning the narratives.
Yes.
And I just don't think they really gave him confidence in Buffalo these last 2 years. I don't. So, but I was told that he can turn water into wine. So, but how did that work against Denver? But that's neither here nor there. But that's my one final thought. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude this episode of Big Day Sports Talk Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. It was great, a great conversation, Sean. I appreciate you. Now that we're officially in the off season, the Ravens had their introductory press conference with Anthony Weaver and the new OC as well. So I definitely got to talk about the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to have Sean Spencer on here. We're going to talk about the Washington Commanders because I believe at this point, now I think we're just getting ready for free agency and seeing kind of where everything is. Because everyone now has hired their coaches. Clint Kubiak was the last coaching hire. He's going to the Raiders. We'll talk about that in a off-season grade so far. We'll do that in a later date. My understanding, really quick, the WNBA update on the negotiations of the new CBA. The Player Association, they did submit a new proposal where they did concede to a couple things, especially revenue sharing and housing. So that pretty much lets me know that where they're kind of like, all right, we give up. We tried. So essentially, because I think what they offered, what they proposed was a 25%, 27.5% of gross revenue, and less than $9.5 million salary cap. So, because in the December they asked for 10.5. Yeah. So, because they have until I believe the end of this month, because free agency is actually about to start. Yeah. So, and that kind of puts a damper on things. If anything, stuff's going to more likely start late. So, because that is, hold on, let me make sure I have the dates right. This has been a weird negotiation. The last time we saw this was back in 2003, 2004, Everything
wow.
was just pushed back a couple weeks because of basically, a work stoppage. There's a difference between a work stoppage and a strike. So spring training, the Orioles is officially starting spring training, the Nationals as well. Definitely let's talk about the Orioles at some point and the Nationals. And Maryland men's basketball, regular season is coming to a close as they get ready for the Big Ten tournament. And then NCAA tournament, the men more than likely will probably get an NIT invitational because this was rough for them because of the injuries. The women, it'll be interesting to see where they're ranked because they have – actually, hold on, let me check out the schedule for the women really quick. They have Purdue. I'll be at that game Sunday. Northwestern and Michigan. So, yeah. So they actually have a chance to finish on a high note. For your Tar Heels, how is the basketball season looking for the men and women's?
I paid attention briefly to the women's. I think they were doing fairly well. For the men, after the Duke win, we've had some rough losses, obviously culminating in last night's loss to NC State. I mean, we've won enough to where we're probably going to be fairly well in the conference tournament. Unfortunately, we already struggled with being only a two-man team with having our Vassar, our big man, and then obviously Caleb Wilson. Trimble, when he gets in there, he definitely helps us out. Obviously, hit the game winner against Duke. But without Caleb Wilson, whenever the offense kind of gets in a rut, he was the one who kind of got us out of that, him and Trimble. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how Coach Davis gets these guys going. Unfortunately, if last night was any indication, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough. I still definitely think we're a tournament team, but the question is how far can we actually go?
Yeah, you can say that for a lot of these teams this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Coach Yo she coaches Ole Miss. She mentioned that the conference tournament, she's not a fan of it because by the time you get to March Madness, you've beaten each other up. You kind of know each other. It's a lot. So, and on top of that too, who you play and how it works. I don't know. I think the regions this year, depending, I think that's going to matter. That's also going to matter too. So, I did have one other question for you, sir. Who is Clint Trickett? Because Maryland hired him as our new offensive coordinator.
I don't know.
Okay. Because you're my college football guru in terms of all I know is he came from Arkansas. So he's.
I'll ask Alex Loosemore.
Please.
I'll ask Alex. Yeah.
If you can ask him that'd be great. I need to know who that is because is he like a Todd Monken? Is he a Jesse Mentor? I need to know who he is because is he an upgrade from Pep Hamilton?
Yeah, I'll definitely ask. I'll definitely figure that out.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's going to do this. That's going to conclude this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content on the podcast. And I will catch you on the flip side. Sean, thank you so much for joining me. And we'll talk soon, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of the week. Stay safe. The snow is melting, and spring is in the air, as well as allergies.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode and you want to see more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you.